Thor has a very distinct signature weapon. We're talking, of course, about Mjolnir. This powerful hammer has been by his side during many of his most memorable adventures. What non-hardcore fans may not know is that Mjolnir is only one tool in his arsenal. The Asgardian god has others at his disposal, including Stormbreaker. It's an alternate version of Mjolnir, serving several of the same functions. The thing that differentiates it is that one end of its head is a hammer, while the other is an axe. Interest in Stormbreaker, which is alternately known as Ultimate Mjolnir, has spiked following its appearance in Avengers Infinity War, where Thor introduces it to audiences during a crowd-pleasing moment. Now, if Stormbreaker is new to you, or if you just want to learn a little more about it, we got a thorough primer to provide all the information you need. Before we start, make sure you follow us by clicking on the like button below the video to get more sweet content from Animated Times. Hey guys, I'm Andrew Caravella. Find me on social, On Air Andrew. All right guys, let's go. First up, it was originally made for someone else. Perhaps the single most surprising thing about Stormbreaker is that it wasn't even made for Thor. It was actually made for someone else, specifically the Corbinite named Beta Ray Bill. To understand the history, you have to go back to 1984's The Mighty Thor number 339. Thor and Bill battled after the former crashed into the latter's ship. Bill emerged victorious and was granted his opponent's hammer as a prize. Although the rightful victor, Bill began to have some second thoughts about taking it from the one who wielded it for so long. To make up for this, Odin, who oversaw the match, decided to have a new weapon made specifically for Bill. It would essentially be the same as Mjolnir, it just wouldn't be Thor's Mjolnir. With that, Stormbreaker was born. Avengers Infinity War changes the hammer's backstory considerably. In the film's version, the Mjolnir-less Thor tells the Guardians of the Galaxy that he needs a new weapon in order to help defeat Thanos. He suggests they go to Nidavellir to have the dwarves who live there cast him a new hammer of equal or greater strength. The change was almost certainly necessitated by the fact that Beta Ray Bill has not been part of the MCU to this point. At number 9, it was made with magic, not star power. Now, where does a mighty weapon like Stormbreaker come from? The answer may surprise you. After deciding to gift Beta Ray Bill with a hammer of his own, Odin went to the dwarves of Nidavellir, who live and work in caverns. Specifically, he sought out his old friend Eitri and requested that something similar to Mjolnir be made. Following a lengthy negotiation, Eitri agreed and ordered his colleagues to get to work. They forged a mold, which Odin infused with his magic. Bill then pulled out his new hammer from that mold, dubbing it Stormbreaker, and returned Mjolnir to Thor. All of this leads to the second question. What exactly is something like this made of? The dwarves cast Stormbreaker out of Uru, an extremely durable, virtually indestructible substance. One of the main properties in Uru is that it's naturally absorbed from various forms of energy, making it a versatile tool in the midst of battle. Even better, once charged up, it can expel that energy back out in a forceful manner. Uru, which is mined by the dwarves in use in making weapons for Asgardians, was also used in the making of Mjolnir and Thor's battle axe Jarnbjorn, among many others. At number 8, insane striking power and force projection. Okay, so like hammers are made for one purpose, namely pounding something. It stands to reason then that Stormbreaker would be very good in that capacity. In fact, it's downright amazing. Force projection is one of its most significant powers. Once charged up with energy, a single strike from its blunt end is enough to create devastating impact, sending out tremors of energy to destroy whatever is like in its path. That proves useful in situations where multiple enemies must be dispatched of as quickly as possible. We see this ability in full effect during the Battle of Wakanda sequence in Avengers Infinity War. A veritable army of evil creatures penetrates the doomed shield protecting Black Panther's homeland. Captain America, Black Widow, and the Dora Milaje attempt to fight them off to no avail. Suddenly, down from the skies comes Thor, smashing Stormbreaker into the Wakandan ground as he lands and creating a wave of power that wipes out a wide swath of the invaders. That moment proves to be a real crowd pleaser as the Asgardian god has been largely powerless up to that point in the movie. Stormbreaker has been used in similar ways throughout the comics. Enemies who find themselves on the receiving end of its smashing ability are toast. Number 7, worthiness assessment. Okay, so Stormbreaker shares many qualities in common with Thor's other trustworthy weapon, Mjolnir. Perhaps the most significant of them is its ability to assess worthiness. In other words, it can only be lifted by those of impeccable moral character, so I'm like totally out. Thor, of course, has no trouble wielding either one, as he is the very definition of worthiness. Others are not so lucky. There are several notable tales of Stormbreaker being selective in who may use it and when. In Beta Ray Bill, God Hunter, the title character attempts to end Galactus by destroying any planet from which he attempts to feed, thereby causing him to starve. This aggressive quality eventually renders him unable to pick up Stormbreaker. Only after reversing course and saving Galactus following a vicious attack from an alien race does he regain his privileges. For another example of its selective nature, look no further than the Thor Corps. It was comprised of 3 hammer-holding heroes, Beta Ray Bill, Dargo Couture, and Eric Matterson, the latter of whom was known as Thor 2. During a fight against Loki, Eric was able to grab Stormbreaker and use it in battle. Few would have been able to do this, but because he was another iteration of Thor, Eric was granted the honor of its many uses. At number 6, Thor once rejected it. Alright, so you'd think that the chance to own a weapon like Stormbreaker would be something Thor would never pass up, right? Well, you'd be wrong. You see, it's powerful and comes equipped with all kinds of features that prove useful, and yet the Asgardian hero rejected Stormbreaker in one of the comic book stories, not because it wasn't worthy of him, but because he wasn't worthy of it. In the unworthy Thor storyline, Jane Foster achieves worthiness and is able to claim Mjolnir as her own. That sends Thor, referred to as Odin, on a quest to find a new hammer. A long search ensues, culminating with him having the opportunity to claim ultimate Mjolnir. Surprisingly, he doesn't take it, proclaiming, "This is not my hammer." Why pass it up? Because he doesn't feel he is worthy of such a powerful object. Gore the Butcher, a villain who targeted gods, previously told him that gods were unworthy of worship and that their arrogance would ultimately destroy mankind. Thor ignored those words until Nick Fury later tells him that Gore was right, sending him to an existential crisis. This makes him doubt his own worthiness, which in turn causes him to decide that ultimate Mjolnir doesn't belong in his hands. Number 5, the ability to open portals. As with many superheroes, Thor does a lot of traveling in his adventures because he hails from a faraway land where things commonly require his attention. He frequently needs to zip back and forth between Earth and Asgard. Other times, he has to move between various locations as part of his duties as protector. Thor must get to where enemies are attacking or where someone requires assistance. Using Stormbreaker provides a means of doing these things with expediency. When Thor needs to race to a different location, he can use the weapon to open a portal that will rapidly get him where he needs to be. This significantly increases his response time in an emergency, which is important when the stakes are high. When he has to go back home to Asgard, Stormbreaker provides a handy means of getting there. It has the capability to summon a beam somewhat similar to the Bifrost, ensuring Thor a direct route. As a member of the Star Masters, Beta Ray Bill successfully averted catastrophe using this same power. A meteor with a small black hole at its center was heading toward Earth. Silver Surfer destroyed the meteor, but the black hole kept on going. Bill used Stormbreaker to open a portal, thereby sending the threatening cosmic object barreling into some other part of the galaxy. At number 4, it once split in half. Because it's made of Uru, Stormbreaker is highly resistant to destruction. It is not, however, indestructible. Under the right circumstances, it can reveal its own vulnerabilities. In the Secret Invasion Thor series, Beta Ray Bill ends up a prisoner of the Skrulls, the extraterrestrials known for their ability to shapeshift. Yeah, those guys. They send Bill to Asgard, where he is instructed to warn everyone of impending invasions. Thor suspects that Bill might actually be a Skrull in disguise. As a test, he throws Mjolnir to Bill. When he is worthy enough to catch it, Thor knows his identity is legit. The two band together to prepare for a fight against the Skrulls. When the invasion happens, Bill comes face to face with an immense female warrior. She has a Stormbreaker, taken when he was held captive, which has been split in half. Despite not being in its original condition, the hammer retains its value, and the warrior quickly overpowers Bill. At this point, Thor intervenes and fights the Skrull. To match his strength, the warrior fuses Stormbreaker back into one. She tosses it, Thor catches the hammer, and returns it to Bill. This incident is noteworthy because it shows that Stormbreaker can be damaged, but also because it shows that even in a compromised state, it is still a force to be reckoned with. Looking at number 3, transformation powers. One of Stormbreaker's more unusual features is its transformation ability. To best see that in action, we need to look at its original owner, Beta Ray Bill. He's a Corbinite, one of a class of beings who moved from planet to planet, colonizing them through peaceful means. The planets they inhibited were destroyed when the demon Surtur unleashed a cosmic attack. Later, Beta Ray Bill made his way to Earth, where he inhibited the body of a veteran. In this guise, he was known by the name Simon Walters. Whenever he wanted or needed to revert back to his Corbinite body, he could do so by tapping on Stormbreaker. The weapon allowed him to go back and forth between these identities. Now, at another point in his history, Bill had his consciousness transferred into a cyborg body. Similarly, he could transform back into his non-cyborg form by tapping Stormbreaker on the ground. Stormbreaker proved vital to Bill throughout his comic book appearances, providing him with a swift, efficient means of becoming whichever version of himself he wanted to be. The appearance of Stormbreaker in Avengers Infinity War suggests that Beta Ray Bill may show up in an MCU movie somewhere down the line. Coming in at number 2, it possesses crazy weather manipulation powers. We all know that Mjolnir can summon lightning. Stormbreaker can too. In fact, as the name implies, it has the ability to manipulate the weather. There are a number of notable examples in which it was used for this purpose. Beta Ray Bill once summoned a storm large enough to cover the surface of an entire sun. He did this in order to block harmful rays emanating from it. Only because of his hammer strength was he able to conjure up something large enough to accomplish such a task. Now, in the animated film Planet Hulk, Thor is confronted by a massive 6-legged robot intent on destroying him. The robot shoots lasers from its eyes, attempting to hit Thor with them. Just when it looks like he might be about to experience a crushing defeat, Beta Ray Bill comes to the rescue. Bill raises Stormbreaker to the sky, while Thor does the same with Mjolnir, and together, they shoot out dual bolts of lightning that stop the robot in its tracks. Now, this ability to control the weather proves handy in situations when Thor or Bill need to gain an upper hand. The storms his hammer can create are intense, and that's why it more than earns its name. And finally, Stormbreaker has many other functions. Many weapons have one single function. They exist to fulfill a purpose, and while good at doing that, they aren't capable of much else. Stormbreaker is different. It has a slew of assorted abilities, all of which can be put to use by Thor, Bill, or anyone else deemed worthy of holding it. Not me. Flight is one of its major skills. By harnessing willpower, the possessor of the hammer can cause it to move in any direction at any speed. That provides a great deal of flexibility in combat, allowing for immediate improvisation in defense or attack as necessary. On a related note, tracking is also something Stormbreaker can do. If it needs to find a way to its owner or potentially the target of its punch, it can locate that person, even if they are in a different dimension. Now that's what I call GPS. Now, not all of its uses are offensive. I mean, in fact, one is significantly defensive. Stormbreaker can create shields that will protect its holder from oncoming assault. If by some chance an injury has been sustained, it can help to heal the wound. In many ways, Stormbreaker is like a magical Swiss Army knife, containing a lot of helpful tools in one package. Alright, well, this wraps up our list of 10 crazy facts about Thor's hammer, Stormbreaker. Did we miss anything? Well, let us know in the comments below. If you haven't already liked our page, like and share this video. If you liked what you saw, you can always check out more awesome content on our page. And as always, thanks for watching.